This is the Barbados Today evening news for Thursday, September 7. Thank you for joining us. I am Mary-Claire Williams. Just days after it was devastated by the catastrophic Hurricane Irma, Barbuda is bracing for yet another storm. Barbuda and its sister island Antigua are now under a hurricane watch as Hurricane Jose makes its way towards the northern Leeward Islands. A tropical storm watch is still in effect for Anguilla, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, Saba and St. Eustatius. Jose is now the third major hurricane of this year, and with winds of 120 miles per hour, Jose was this afternoon upgraded to a Category 3 storm. It is 590 miles southeast of the Leeward Islands and is moving towards the west-northwest at 18 miles per hour. Jose is following closely on the path of Hurricane Irma, which left a trail of death and destruction in the northern Caribbean. It is now headed towards the Turks and Caicos Islands and the Bahamas. The National Hurricane Center says Jose is expected to dump up to 10 inches of rain on islands from Antigua and Barbuda to Anguilla. And with the islands already affected by Hurricane Irma, any additional rainfall is expected to worsen the situation and pose further threat to life. Prime Minister Gaston Brown has ordered voluntary evacuations from Barbuda as the new storm approaches. Brown says the level of damage in Barbuda is unprecedented.
It is unprecedented based on the type of storm. I mean, Hurricane Irma would have been easily the most powerful hurricane to have stormed through the Caribbean, and it is extremely unfortunate that Barbuda was right in its path. And what is instructive is that a difference of 30 to 50 miles involving a hurricane could make a major difference. Because whereas we may have had miles or wind strengths up to about 100 and probably 30 miles per hour, Barbuda evidently would have had 180, 185 miles per hour. And that has made a fundamental difference. From my observation, having done an aerial survey, I would say that about 95% of the properties would have suffered some level of damage. They would have lost at least a part of their roofs. Some have lost whole roofs. Some properties have been totally demolished. It is absolutely heart-wrenching. I mean, the infrastructure, the utilities infrastructure was damaged. The physical infrastructure was damaged. You'd recognize, too, that the island is literally underwater, and that in itself represents a serious threat in terms of mosquito-borne diseases, and we have to be very careful.
Hurricane Jose poses no immediate threat to Barbados. However, it is expected to cause above normal sea swells of 10 to 13 feet beginning early tomorrow. The Barbados Met Services has therefore issued a high surf advisory and small craft warning from 6 o'clock this evening, and it will remain in effect until midday Saturday. The Met Office says large waves and dangerous rip currents can be expected mainly along eastern and northern coastlines and will create unsafe conditions for small craft operators. The Met Office also advises sea bathers and other users of the sea to stay out of the water. And teams from the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency are on their way to the northern Caribbean islands that were battered by Hurricane Irma earlier this week. The Category 5 hurricane caused significant damage in St. Martin, Anguilla and the Virgin Islands, and it is now headed to the Turks and Caicos Islands and the Bahamas. CDEMA's Executive Director, Ronald Jackson, told a news conference this afternoon that while Barbados and other islands were spared from the damage of the latest storm, they should not become complacent in disaster preparedness effort, particularly with the building codes. Barbados Today's Ryan Gilks reports.
Mr. Jackson told reporters that it was one thing, however, to have this policy in place, but they needed to do a lot more enforcement.
But you're quite right. Our codes need not only to be updated, but to be implemented and, more importantly, enforced. I think there is, we talk about public-private partnership. I think that's an area where we really need to encourage greater public-private partnership between government, planning department, the insurance sector, and the banking sector, so that we can get it right. Because it is way too costly at the individual level, but it is also costly to our societies, and it impacts our efforts at at prosperity and sustaining prosperity of our island states.
On the issue of complacency as it relates to the passage of hurricanes and other tropical systems, he said Barbadians, for one, needed to consider that it could have easily been them had the system shifted further south.
Some people would say you're due. You would say you wait 100 years for another Jeanette, but we're seeing where extreme events are happening in shorter than the return period. So let us not be complacent.
I'm Ryan Jilts for Barbados Today.
Good morning, Phillips & Company, may I help? Oh, certainly. One moment, please. Miss Phillips?
Yeah?
There's a lady on the line from the Nation newspaper who would like to speak with you.
The Nation? Wish she go on?
Well, they're trying to sell us some ads.
Look, don't make me laugh this morning. Ads in the Nation? They're real expensive, and for what here, nobody ain't buying them papers no more. Nobody ain't want to steal news. I hear reading Barbados Today online for free. So I tell she thanks for calling, but no thanks. We just advertising Barbados Today, families. Tell she is Barbados Today all the way.
Okay, I'll pass on the message. Mom, are you still there? Oh, she put down.
The Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Thank you for staying with us. In other news this evening, parents and guardians are doing last-minute shopping for school supplies before the new academic year begins next Monday. Barbados Today caught up with some of them in the city who said they will spare no expense to ensure their children are ready for the classroom.
I don't live in Barbados anymore, but I make sure that I come home to put my son into school for his first day of school today. Today was orientation, so we just come back to Bridgetown to get the last wee bits and bobs for his school, because no matter where he is in the world, you understand, no matter what he's doing, it's my first and only priority, you understand? So I fly back in 2 days ago, and me and my fiance will be getting married at the end of the month as well. But yeah, Jamara Alejandro Vidica, yeah. He will be going to Lawrence Stigia in St. Michael's. His first time. He has an older sister that goes there as well, but he's loving it. He really enjoyed his first day today, and he's loving it. All ready for school.
I just find it's something you have to do, so I do it. I don't do it at the beginning of the summer. I do it at the end because the children grow in the summer and stuff. So it's just a matter of just trying to get everything in. Do it in good time so he gets a good school year.
And some businesses say they are seeing an increase in back-to-school shopping with only a few days left.
We're into September, and it's showing that sales are up over September for this period. August started off really slow. We didn't get the level of traffic that we're accustomed to seeing in August, but for September things are definitely looking up, and we're up over this period for September.
Well, this is a winding down stage, and I think this is the last minute for everybody. So we're still seeing a good crowd coming in. What's happened? A lot of the books were late this year, so there were some that have been reprinted as well. So they're in now. And, they're buying the minor stuff now, like pens, pencils, and sharpeners, crayons, and so on. But the textbooks are still going very good.
Finally, lawmakers in Britain have exchanged barbs over new legislation known as the EU Withdrawal Bill. This as negotiations are continuing for the so-called Brexit. We get the details in this Reuters report.
British lawmakers are debating a bill that aims to deliver on the Brexiteers' promise of independence from Brussels.
So much for taking back control.
But Labour's Brexit spokesman is among those to say it might just hand too much power to ministers instead. The EU Withdrawal Bill aims to end the supremacy of EU law, converting it into UK legislation. Opposition parties call it a power grab by government that overrides parliamentary oversight, and some Conservatives agree.
And if the government isn't going to move in the next 2 days of debate, well, I think we may have to force it to go back to the drawing board and try again.
On Thursday, the government, represented by Brexit Secretary David Davis, gave this defence in at times rowdy exchanges.
This does not aim to change law. This aims to maintain. It is primarily technical in that respect and aims to maintain the laws that we currently have.
The first vote will take place Monday, and it would only take a few rebels to defeat the government. Prime Minister Theresa May has been short of a majority since June's election and dependent on support from some Northern Ireland lawmakers. Next up, the unelected House of Lords will have their say. And picture the process this law will unleash. Some 40 years of EU rules being reinterpreted for the UK. And only about 18 months to go before exit day.
That's news this evening. For more, you can log on to our website www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates and like us on Facebook. We're on Izumi Media in bus terminals and screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also find us on Mix 96.9 FM. I am Marie Claire Williams. Have a good evening.